What's up, witches? It's me, Luna. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you're already a subscriber. Think about hitting that like button if you like this video and subscribing to my channel so you know everything I put out. Today I am here for an unboxing, and there are more and more now so many authors that have multiple decks. Thinking Colette Baron-Reid, ton of decks. Lucy Cavendish, Kyle Gray, so many that I can't think of right now. And it's a wonderful thing, but as a collector, there's kind of a conundrum because you get the gotta catch 'em all thing, or I want all of this author's decks because they're good. But then there's kind of another side to it, and that is, all right, I already have several of their decks. Do I really need another one? And so that can slow you down from getting your hands on some really good things. And one of these authors of multiple decks is Alana Fairchild. And it is her Kali Oracle that I am looking at today. So I have Kuan Yin Oracle was the first one of hers that I got. And I have the Isis Oracle, and I have Sacred Rebels. All excellent decks. And one of Alana's strong suits is that she doesn't just give wonderfully written meanings, and in-depth explorations of the meaning of each card, but she's really aces at giving you like rituals and meditations and prayers and, so much more than just card meanings. So I'm looking forward to this. Let's just go in. Alana Fairchild, Kali Oracle, ferocious grace and supreme protection with the wild divine mother. And this is Jimmy Manton is the artist. And one of the things that has changed with Alana's decks is I think Kuan Yin may have been her first deck. I'm not absolutely sure about that. It's certainly the first one I had. And I had to hunt to find the artist's name, and that bugs me. While it's not on the front of this box, it is right here on the side saying artwork by Jimmy Manton. Okay, this is copyright 2021, this printing 2022. It's a Blue Angel deck. 44 cards, 228-page guidebook. And I love that when we've got matte and then we've got these shiny little, it's like tiles, images of the cards. Very appealing to my inner small child. I want to take these and have stickers, or I want to put them in my mouth. Okay. Kali, the wild mother of divine grace, spiritual freedom, and radical transformation. Mercury is freshly retrograde, by the way, so I'm going to try real hard not to absolutely tie my tongue in knots. Slowly. The wild mother of divine grace, spiritual freedom, and radical transformation embraces your courageous soul. Kali, the wrathful goddess of supreme spiritual protection, welcomes your tender heart. Kali, the pure and ever watchful, stands against all that obstructs your fulfillment. The ego may fear her, but your true self takes comfort in her ferocious compassion and unyielding wisdom. Ferocious compassion. So these goddesses that come out of Hindu tradition and kind of have moved into Buddhist tradition, some of them, I love the way their attributes are described. Green Tara, the whole Tara thing, the green root Tara, and then her 21 emanations. There is one that is called ferocious compassion. I love those two words together. They are not mutually exclusive. Think about when a kid is getting ready to run out in front of a car and the mom says, "Hey," and gets ferocious, to save their life. So dance, revel, and rejoice in the presence of the Great Mother. With the empowering insight of Alana Fairchild and the striking imagery of Jimmy Manton, this unique oracle set is an offering of guidance, clarity, and healing that invokes unconditional love, divine blessing, and authentic spiritual unfoldment. Share sacred space with Goddess Kali in her many forms for a direct experience of her alchemical power. Be held in the glory of her being and behold your destiny. I like that. That's a well-written sentence. dedicated to your bold and tender heart for the spiritual liberation of all beings. Wonderful. Now, I know some people have issues with Jimmy Manton because he's got that very, glamoury style. The Isis Oracle is also him, and I get it, but I also just take the images as they are. And we have the Blue Angel Sacred Piece of Paper. Oh. Somebody said they bind theirs together. They put them in a book. And I think that's a wonderful idea. I wonder how many I have. And we have a chunky little book, as we usually do with Alana Fairchild. And looky, invocation ritual, So we get extensive entries on each card. Let's look at the beginning here. So we have the cards are numbered, and that makes everything easy because they're not in alphabetical order. More about Kali Ma, about Alana, about Jimmy Manton. And that's it. So let's look at the introduction a little bit. And let's see, it's a long introduction. Wow. Okay. A note about Tantra. Okay, so let's just break this down. The introduction goes from page 7 through page 26. So we have 19 pages of writing at the beginning, and I'm sure it's going to be absolutely worth reading. Let me do maybe a couple paragraphs. I've loved Kali from the first moment I heard her name. Although I knew next to nothing about her, I felt a familiar affection for her at a soul level. I sensed a devotion to her that had spanned lifetimes and was awakening again in this one. I instinctively knew she was a trustworthy source of tremendous power and protectiveness. When I did see images of her, although they were confronting, I was not frightened. If anything, her ferocity made me love her more because I realized I could be my gentle self and she would show me how to access other ways of being when necessary. My response to her has remained the same. I bow with reverence, love, and awe in her presence with complete trust in her wild yet loving divine nature. All right. Even given all the above, I knew that loving her was not always going to be easy. When we encounter Kali, we can be sure that whatever is unfolding will ultimately be to our spiritual benefit. Likely, the process will involve challenging and painful initiations. The pain is temporary and the benefit eternal. But when you are going through the agony before the ecstasy, knowing that may not be much comfort. One of the teachings of the wild divine mother is not to fear pain, but to find the courage to move through it. This does not mean enduring until we collapse in an exhausted, defeated heap. Sometimes we put ourselves through that unconsciously and even attribute our persistent suffering to the workings of Kali. However, I have found her divine handiwork to be rather more abrupt. It is the aftermath of processing that can take a while. That's wonderful because when you look at the fierce goddesses, the dark goddesses, the ones that aren't, sweetness and light and springtime and lammies, this is what they represent. They represent these lessons that just shake us to our foundation. The experiences we have that smack you and confront you and, the experiences you don't have a choice but to deal with, to be in. You're plunged into these experiences. And these goddesses also represent what arises in us when we are confronted in that way. The ferocity that you find in you. Remember, please, that gods and goddesses aren't some beings out there and we are trying to emulate them. They represent the truth of our nature that we are trying to uncover. And so we worship them in order to understand that part of our own nature and invoke it when we need to. So, okay, mini lecture over. I want to see the note on Tantra here. So just those first two paragraphs were great and very succinct in talking about that, those kind of lessons. As I refer to Tantra in this text, I want to explain what it means in this context. For most people in the West, Tantra is associated with sacred sexuality. Kali is not a goddess of erotic love per se. That area tends to be left in the realms of Lakshmi, Kama, Aphrodite, Bastet, and other more sensuous and beguiling emanations of the divine feminine. Yet, should our soul growth be enhanced through accessing and exploring sexuality, then Kali will undoubtedly take the actions required to unleash it. However, that is not what makes her a tantric goddess. Kali's unconventionality and inversion of the ordinary is the tantric path at a spiritual level. All right, I feel like this would be a really deep read so far. And I will just allow you to discover that for yourself if you choose to buy the deck. I'll read one more paragraph. Like Tantra, Kali's realm is outside of polite social interactions and tends toward matters you aren't supposed to talk about on first dates or at dinner parties, but make both so much more interesting if you do. And I mean, there it is right there. We're dealing with discomfort. Hers is the path beyond mainstream consciousness. It is sacred, but alternative or fringe dwelling, and often profoundly challenging to mainstream conditioning. Yes, challenging to mainstream conditioning. Tantra is beyond religion and belongs to the spirit. Yes, again. It provides the tools necessary for spiritual freedom to grow and the perks, but also the dangers that can arise outside conventional practice. Tantra is an advanced path with greater freedom. However, if we want that freedom to lead to awakening rather than downfall, we need a regulating yet not oppressive consciousness, like Kali Ma, to keep aligning us. When we don't realize we've wandered away from our truth, we can become caught in a compelling deception of our own ego making. Kali becomes the protective spiritual source, the tantric queen, for those who seek to awaken according to their inner path, using their life experiences as their core learning material. She keeps us grounded in our authentic nature rather than conditioned by doctrine. Okay, let's look at, we have sacred work with this deck, and then we have a note on the pronunciation of Sanskrit words, or why not to worry if you aren't sure how to say one of the longer words. Sanskrit can look intimidating, but once you get the hang of how to say the longer words, you'll realize it's quite an easy language to pronounce most of the time. The best way I know to pronounce the Sanskrit terms, such as samsara tarini, is to go slow and sound out one vowel at a time. Generally, it's a very phonetic language, so this word sounds like samsara tarini, just as if you would sound out one vowel at a time. All right. Blessing for the deck for use for first use or at any time. All right, I think we will do that when we do our deck blessing. Then we have suggested card layouts and healing processes for readings. There's purification process, card 1, card 2, card 3, session for sacred surrender, card 1, card 2, card 3. So there's 2 just kind of card rituals with 3 cards. And then we go to the card messages. And that... and you know, the thing is, the introduction is so long, but the table of contents doesn't break it down into its little subsections. So, all right. If you would like to learn more about the Divine Mother Kali, you can also find Alana's in-depth teachings about her and her special relationship with 4 other faces of the Divine Mother, Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, Isis, and Tara, in the book entitled The Kuan Yin Transmission. Ooh, Tara. I mean, I've done Tara practice for 20-some years. You can find meditations and music dedicated to Kali on the Kuan Yin Transmission multi-album download and CD, and on Alana's meditation album, Black Madonna Meditations. Wow. You may also enjoy the beautiful Kali Oracle Journal and Practices for Sacred Introversion. All right, about Alana. My heart knows and loves yours. To support your sacred heart path in this lifetime, my heart has created an abundance of sacred offerings. Yes, you have. All right. We know about Alana. Jimmy Manton is an illustrator and animator based in Melbourne, Australia. As an illustrator, he specializes in commercial art, digital art, and painting. He's a lifetime sci-fi and fantasy enthusiast. You can see that in his art. You can see more of his work at jamanimation.com.au. All right. Let's get to the deck. I always find it kind of odd with Blue Angel decks that we've got sort of the big book and the smaller deck, but I mean, no matter really. So, 2-part box. Let's pop the band and get in. beautiful backs. They are directional, so you can tell when they're upside down or not, if you can read the Sanskrit. But you see the skulls here? So I know the image of Kali that most people are familiar with is her dancing on a corpse and eating the entrails of her and of her lover with the necklace of skulls. And there she is. Clearly, I'm not going to understand what these cards are meaning by the title, because these are Sanskrit titles. So this must be all aspects of her. This is Smashana, Smashana. And there she is. You see the lotuses here kind of flying apart. The bloody head in a flaming dish and the necklace. Wow. Vishvamata. So I'm not going to take an awful lot of time with these because we're just looking at images and I don't know what they mean by the name Kaladhara. But I'll tell you what I love is the blue. And right away I can see that the hue is very skewed on this camera. These are much more cobalty, purpley blue. They're looking greeny blue on my monitor. That's Kaladhara, Kali Mahamaya in the water. Guna Tantrika. So this is Troma Nagmo. Dakshina. That looks really Egyptian, doesn't it? Kali Kapali. Khadga. Wow. I mean, blades and skulls and intensity. Kundalini Shakti. Oh, well, I think we understand that. I do anyway. Kundalini is raising the energy that lies coiled at the root chakra, which is our basest instincts, our survival and, procreative instincts and all that, and uncoiling it from those more base survival desires and channeling it up to the highest of spiritual desire. Okay. Cardstock is thick, it's like her other decks, and I mean, too thick, but, and they have that nice matte. Durga Kalika. Now, Durga is a goddess usually we see riding on a tiger. Kali Yantra. I believe the yantra is the geometry. Yuga Shakti. Bhadrakali. So she seems to be like Tara in that there's a base goddess and then a lot of different emanations. Mahavidya. Mahakali. Oh, look at that. The one argument I have with Jimmy Manton is the glamour kind of aspect, because Kali is ferocious and not in any way beautiful. When you see the tankas and the paintings of her, everything is very codified. The style is, and she's, fierce and not like glamorous and busty and bikinied. So I do understand some of the grumpiness that people have about Jimmy Manton. Blue Tara. Okay. Lalita Tripura Sundari. Bhuvaneswari. Chinnamasta. Wow. It's grisly for sure. Bhairavi Yogini. Dhumavati. Okay, Dhumavati. That name is very familiar to me. I think I know why. Bagalamukhi. Matangi. Ooh, I was just looking at what she was holding in her hand here. Looks like somebody's liver or tongue. Looks like a tongue. Ew. Okay, Matangi. Kamala Devi. Kamala Devi. Because now we know how to pronounce that name, right? Shodashi. Sri Bala. Guya Kali. Either she has a terribly long neck or it's also severed and floating. Devi Ma Kali. Oh. Nitya Kali. Chamunda. Wow. It looks like, oh, what's his name in Death Note? I forget the one kind of god figure. Kalaratri. Anahata Kali. Anahata is the heart chakra. That's why you see the green there. Kurukula. Kalika Tantrika. Artha of Kali. Dharma of Kali. Kama of Kali. Moksha of Kali. Mantra Shakti. Krishna, a two-headed god. Wow. Kali Kalmasa Nasini. Gauri Devi. And Bhavatarini. You know, when you're an empath, and if you're a reader, eventually you start to recognize that not just cards, but everything about a reading is part of the reading. And watching the flip through of this deck where I had very little to say about the images, and I think it was like the fastest flip through ever, and there's information there. And that information says that this deck is not one that you're going to just shuffle up and throw a big spread on, you know. Each of these cards is keeping the majority of its secrets until you get to the book. I mean, you can kind of see things, but we are showing, you know, images of attributes of the goddess. We're not really showing like scenes of action. You know, they're pretty static, even though they're kind of, you know, charged and you know, energetic looking. They're not really in motion. And so this isn't that kind of deck. And that gives you a clue to Alana Fairchild herself, that the decks that she creates are like study tools, self-development tools, where you can use a deck, but you're going to have to commit. You're going to have to spend some time and do some reading and do some studying and do the rituals. And I mean, it's a gift to have these things just written out for you. So I imagine if you just kind of started with, you know, card number 1 and read it and did the invocation ritual and just day by day worked through this entire deck, I think your life would be rocking and rolling in no time. But okay, so one of the things about these fierce goddesses is that when you call on them, what you are saying is, I'm ready to be through, I'm ready to be in it and through it. Pardon me. It's saying, I don't want to fuck around anymore. You know, can we get this done, please? And so I think she said in here something about ripping a Band-Aid off, and that's it. Would you rather, okay, there's a wound that I have to work on. Would you rather pick, you know, a little bit at a time, pull out one little hair at a time? Or would you rather just whoosh, rip it off and be done, you know, okay, ow, yes, that was more intense pain, but now I'm through it and it can begin to heal. That's the path I generally choose. I don't really like pissing around with things that are painful to me, you know. Not to say that it doesn't happen, because it takes a long time sometimes for things to become conscious that there's something I need to look at and work on. But Kali is one of those goddesses where know what you're getting into. For just a reading deck, that no problem at all. But if you're going to study and work with these kinds of goddesses, be prepared. And I say that so that you might avoid some of the whining and gnashing of teeth when things start to fall out, So anyway, let's do a blessing. I'm kind of disoriented because that flip through went so fast. And, they're beautiful images. They're certainly very rich looking, but they're just not having the visual context of what a lot of these symbols mean in my mind. We'll get it. They're not giving me much information just on the raw image. So, by air and fire, may you be purified and charged. And by water and earth, may you be blessed and made whole. And by the sound of the bell, may the spirit awaken within this deck. May these rituals be awakened for me. So mote it be. All right. Oh. Now, guides and guardians, allies and ancestors, thank you for being here. Thank you for helping me connect with this fierce goddess. I am already familiar with her through the more ferocious aspects of Tara, and I have a firm appreciation and not a fear. So I really appreciate this tool and your aid in helping me pass along messages in this Mercury retrograde. And I offer you fresh water, I offer you the fire of Azrael, and I offer praise and gratitude to Kali Ma. All right. I'm not looking forward to this because it's going to suck. It's a big fat deck. You can barely get your fingers around it. And I mean, it's not as stiff as it could be, but it's stiffer than it should be. I mean, you can. It just hurts. I'm an old lady. And I have arthritis in my thumb joints. And I like to shuffle cards this way. Okay, that's the last time I'm doing that. Let's just do cut shuffles now, and then I will cut and pick. So let's go back here and look at these spreads that she recommends. Okay. So there's a purification process, and the cards go, ask the following question aloud for card 1. What's the most helpful higher perspective on how to deal with influences from my past? Card 2 says, what is the most helpful higher perspective on how to open my most beautiful future? Card 3, what is the most helpful higher perspective that I need to know for now? So we have past, future, present, rather than past, present, future. Okay. Oh, let's do the blessing. Okay, so I did that blessing. Through unconditional love, wisdom, peace, and compassion, I ask for healing for myself and for all beings, that the Divine Mother's truth of grace may manifest for the greatest good. Please bless and guide all work with this oracle for that highest good and loving wisdom. So be it. So yeah, they the first 3 card thing is like, okay, that's a past, present, future spread. Session for sacred surrender. So it's kind of gussied up, we could say a reading for, but she's calling it a session. So but that's a good word, because, a reading is like, sometimes you go 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, there's my answer. I'm done, but she's talking about a session. So saying that this deck is created for you to spend time with. That's how you're going to get the benefit out of it. So there's the blessing, and then card 1. What does the Divine Mother want me to understand so that I can release what does not serve my soul fulfillment? So what I need to release, what I need to understand so that I can release. Card 2, what does the Divine Mother want me to understand so I can receive the blessings that support my soul fulfillment? 3, what does the fulfillment of my sacred surrender look like? Okay. I don't think I'm doing a 3 card here. I think because that's deep. That's a lot. So let's just do a 1 card. And we will read the entire entry. So let me focus. What, Kali Ma, Divine Mother, please, what aspect of you needs to come forward for us as the collective today, for anyone that's watching now, anyone that watches in the future? What do we need to know in order to, as a collective, raise our vibration and move into our highest and best manifestation as beings on this planet? And we get Kali Kalmasa Nasini, card number 42. All right. And as I used the Kuan Yin Oracle in my live stream last night, and this is typical, she has a paragraph that's italicized, and it really gives kind of the essence of the card, and then she describes in more detail. She devours darkness with her endless hunger for light, peace, and redemption. She reaches the deepest places, the darkest spaces, relentless in her pursuit of the lost and despairing. No soul shall ever be forgotten, abandoned, or betrayed by her. Those that believe in their own guilt, their sin, their shame, evoke her mighty tenderness, and she feasts upon the darkness that threatens to consume them, alleviating the weight of their suffering, allowing their hearts to become light and free. So this is a part of the aspects of the dark goddess that I absolutely adore. That image of her, devouring the entrails of her lover as she's squatting over him, it's just so viscerally icky. And it took me years to think about, what is a goddess eating entrails? What does that mean? And to me, part of what it means is that she accepts all of the ickiest things that we can give her, And when we look to heal ourselves and remove what is dark and festering and, traumatized and sick inside of us, she is there going, bring it. Come on, I'll take it. It's okay. You can't scare me, So the name Kali Kalmasa Nasini translates as she who consumes sin. She destroys ill intent. She eradicates mistakes. Here is Kali as the supreme divine weapon. She's the archer and the arrow. So she's holding a bow and arrow. So we can now start to, align some of the meanings here with the image. She is the divine mind unleashed, so it shall raise anything built on negative foundations, and who vanquishes all evil. Hers is the power of Pashupatrastra. This is a Sanskrit word which refers to the ultimate spiritual weapon. It has the capacity to neutralize every other weapon in the universe. This divine weapon can be unleashed in numerous ways, whether its power is delivered by arrow or sword, or a release of a thought, glance, or sound from the divine mind. Its action is unequivocal and swift. In the blink of an eye, something once considered as solid as a rock is reduced to nothing. The manifestation of this power is so great that we must take pause to consider our motivations, to have kindness and detachment when connecting with this form of Kali Ma, or indeed any of her forms. Fear can make our intentions and actions unnecessarily aggressive. Better to come to Kali from a place of gentle heart and unwavering firmness of sanctuary in her wisdom. Better to recognize that her wisdom, rather than our own point of view, can accomplish the best outcome for all beings. Better to trust in her divine justice and mercy than your concerns about whether you or another shall be held karmically accountable for your actions. You can release all such concerns and simply trust in her. This will bring peace to your mind and allow you to let go of the past, your mistakes, and the errors of others without being harmed. You will learn, but you will not suffer. This brings spiritual benefit to all beings. there's a commonly held view, there's a few pages here. There's a commonly held view that the more powerful you become, the more aggressive or forceful you must be. It's the opposite. The Divine Mother offers us a different perspective. You can be simultaneously fierce toward ego and kind toward the heart. With true power comes wisdom, and wisdom knows when to be gentle and how to obtain ever greater outcomes through tenderness rather than force. Sometimes a strong and unwavering approach, even sacred rage, may be necessary to accomplish a task, but more often than not, there will be another way. Kali Kalmasa Nasini comes to us when we need to know we have so much divine support for our purpose that we can afford to handle what needs to happen with some care. We don't need to approach every conflict with all guns firing. Although the power will rise up to meet the need, we can give some breathing space for that to instinctively happen, and only to the extent necessary. The divine knows how to accomplish things in the best way. If we strengthen our inner connection to that divine wisdom, we will spontaneously know how to proceed. The oracle guides you to be present and do only what feels correct in each moment, rather than to react or decide what you think your behavior should be. You will sense the best way to proceed as you stay true to your intuition and instincts. The Divine Mother is guiding you, and you do not need to fear. There's also the expression, what's done is done. In this emanation, as the consumer of sin, Kali Masa Nasini devours past error. This concept of sin is not intended to elicit guilt or shame on our part, but to give us a sense that we can become free from what has been. To learn from it, yes. To allow it to continue to define us and direct the course of our lives, hell no. So that's a little slice there of the Tower card. Assimilating your lessons, squeezing the juice out of them, learning what they're here to teach you so you can let the storyline go, and the guilt and the everything else. If we feel that what has been done is too great to deserve such compassion, remember that the Divine Mother's blessings are only able to bring benefit to all beings. Okay, wait. The Divine Mother's blessings are only able to bring benefit to all beings. That's odd. It is the human perspective that sees things in terms of winning at another's expense. In the higher and truer view, that is simply not possible. True benefit brings spiritual benefit to all beings. What is truly right in the spirit, rather than a matter of one person's opinion versus another's, is ultimately best for all. When this oracle arises, it's a call to give up the past and your stories about it. There you go. Especially those that tether you to something you have long since outgrown. Let yourself off the hook. How many times do I say that? Trust that if you've been beaten down, you will rise with divine grace to believe in yourself and your path, and to know that ultimately your divine destiny can never be overcome. Okay. So that whole thing I read before, there were little slices there, but I didn't really get everything that she was saying there till I got to that last paragraph, and she boils it down. So know that you can use this deck and just kind of go to the last paragraph here, and she's going to give you something a little bit more concise. Maybe. Maybe not, because I don't see that, the when this oracle comes up in the other ones. Let me see here. Sounds blah blah blah. However, the message of this oracle is that, okay, this oracle brings the message of, all right, this teaching is not about blah blah, but about, all right, maybe. Okay, so here's the invocation ritual. Say this prayer. Kalika Kalmasa Nasini, devour the sins that fuel negativities. Protect me from utterances and intentions not in harmony with your divine wisdom and loving plan. I seek refuge in your supreme power and become free from regret and free from fear. I have learned, and now I let it go. May nothing stand between us. May our hearts be as one. You are beyond speed. You are immediacy. I'll finish this. You are the perfect tempering of power and mercy. You destroy and you protect. I trust in your grace. Jai Ma Kali, for the spiritual benefit of all beings. Jai Ma Kali, Jai Ma. Okay, so when I see this, you are beyond speed, you are immediacy. Green Tara has that aspect. They say that she arrives the moment before you think of her consciously. Place your hands in prayer at your heart. Feel and sense Kali's wild ferocity and the sense of peace and security you can find in leaning into her still center. Allow yourself to feel her wildness and power in your soul, and her grace and wisdom of restraint too. You do not direct this. You surrender into her with complete trust. Feel the alignment and closeness between your hearts. You've completed your ritual. So, what do we need to do as a collective? We need to deal with our past. We need to deal with the wounds of our past and the sins that collectively we have visited upon ourselves, so that we can move forward and not be carrying our wounds with us. And sometimes when we're carrying our own woundedness and someone comes to us saying, I've been wounded, or you have wounded me, and here's what I need, we're so wounded ourselves that we're defensive and we can't give. So being able to forgive ourselves for past transgressions. So yeah, that's what this card is saying, is that it's time for us to deal with our collective past and, all of our atrocities, so that we can push that to the past and begin again. All right. This is like the shortest video I've shot in a while, at 45 minutes. But still, I'm not really moved to go on to more cards. Let's pick one more just to see that kind of concise, in Smashana, that's the first one. So let's see what she's about. And I'm just going to go to that last paragraph. Her appearance is a portent of powerful change. Although we may not welcome it at first, we can know that because it is initiated by her, wild wisdom and divine love are at its underlying purpose. As we move with the changes taking place within and likely also around us, we will eventually recognize the blessings that have transformed our lives for the better. So, what you're not going to get. This one, the little paragraph says, she shines her blessing of divine deconstruction, clearing away that which undermines your confidence and inhibits your activity on your life path. With the courage born of unconditional trust, you can accept her fierce intervention in your life with openness to the positive changes that shall emerge as a result. You're not getting with her decks concise keywords. This one means this, 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 so you can kind of put together a reading. Each card really is meant to be worked with on its own, meant to be sessioned with, having a session where you're looking deeply into each one of these things. And I would say if you get this, or any of her other decks really, that is the way I would approach it, as a course of spiritual study. And, even if you use a bunch of other decks, this would be the decks where you pick a deck and then one card for the day, spend your time in the morning with it, reading through it, doing the ritual, contemplating, maybe doing a little bit of journaling. And then she sits on your altar for the day, and then the next day you do another one. That's going to get you farther. And I think that's also why I haven't gotten, there's some of the other Alana decks that I really would like to have, but then something stops me. And it's like, because I don't do this kind of practice. I mean, as a crone that's been through a pandemic and everything else we've been through, I've internalized so much at this point that, doing that searching, journeying kind of stuff is just not a necessary thing for me right now, unless there's something, very pointed that I'm working on or processing, or unless I'm just doing a general working for the planet and throwing it out, for the benefit of everyone. I'm pretty damn sure of who I am at this point. And but I also have a solid appreciation of Kali's energy, and considering what women are facing on this planet and have always been, during our history anyway. This energy is really needed, really, really needed on this planet. And I think it was back in the early Trump days, I think, that I saw something. I think it was in Kuala Lumpur that they projected a huge image of Kali on the side of a building, a skyscraper. And I thought, ooh, here we go. So know that the stuff that we're going through now, all of this extreme stuff, is Kali. And truthfully, dealing with these things, when you look at Kuan Yin, yes, we need that absolute 100% compassion, but we also need the equal measure of ferocity, the ability to stand up in no uncertain terms. So I think, the Kali Oracle, the Kuan Yin Oracle are kind of two sides. And she talks about that over, ferocious compassion. That's what those two things are. Ferocious, Kuan Yin's the compassion. So anyway, interesting unboxing. It's not my usual, but Alana Fairchild decks are not the usual Oracle decks. I will say that. And I have a lot of gratitude and appreciation for her and for Jimmy Manton. So thank you, artist and author, for this wonderful deck. And thank you for watching. Hit the like button on your way out if you'd be so kind. And I will see you next time on a live stream on the Mayhem. When it's not Mercury retrograde, another unboxing. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. I'll see you later. Blessed be.